Real lives, real people. Non-identity pod. Good afternoon, good evening, whatever time you're watching or listening to this, and welcome to another episode of the Non-Identity podcast. Now, today we're going to touch on a very sensitive but serious issue. We're going to be talking about mental health, and mainly mental health with men and young men. And today we're joined by a very special guest, Taylor. Welcome to the show.
Hello, mate. You
How you doing? Thanks for joining us today, and I feel you're very brave to be able to come on and share this, because this is going to be a very important message to a lot of, especially men across the world, hopefully.
Yeah.
So, but before we'll start where we always start. Where was you born and where did you grow up?
So, I was born in Queen Mary's, Sidcup area, I think. I don't know. Birth certificate says otherwise, my nan says otherwise as well. And I grew up just roughly around the Kent area, so like Bexley Heath, Crayford, moved around quite a bit. So, about 8 or 9 times now permanently, well, I say permanently, touch wood, in Bexley Heath. I've had 2 houses down the same road, next door to each other. It was a smooth transition, as you can imagine, just going next door.
Chucking things over the fence.
Yeah, that's what it was. My nan was next door. I was like, catch, frisbee and stuff across. But now, yeah, I live in Bexley Heath area.
Okay, and how was childhood for you?
I think it was a weird one. Dad went inside when I was 8. So basically just parented by my mum. But when I say parent, I was left to my own devices. So it was basically having an Xbox. All my needs were met, but I never really had that parental connection with my mum. I didn't really have that, from my opinion anyway. I didn't really have that love that I should have received. I say should have, but every child needs that love. I never really received that from my mum. And then Dad came out when I was 16, and I was like, oh, this is really good. This is, and then it turns out he's still as much of a scumbag as he was back then. Hi, Dad.
So you said your dad came out when he was 16, so obviously he was inside. Are you like to talk about why he was inside?
Yeah. So, from as much as I'm aware, he went inside for. So do you know Shooters Hill?
Yeah.
He was speeding down Shooters Hill. I'm pretty sure I think he was trying to escape the police, hit a police car and hit a policeman, but it was primarily for drug-related offences. So he had, I believe his sentence was like 16, 17 years, but he was let out for good behaviour. Miracle. So, yeah.
And did you feel a bit of resentment not having a father figure as you was growing up?
Yeah. I definitely did. Yeah, definitely. When I was young, I didn't have, because everyone's father figure is their dad, and you don't really. I never had that, so I was obviously. I found it quite difficult growing up, but then I found a really good father figure and a teacher, and I think he's been one of my biggest inspirations for who I've become today.
Yeah, no, definitely, because like I said, the society says we should look up to our fathers, but I think if you just have a good role model in general, it doesn't really matter who it is, family or not. I think as long as you've got people about that can help steer you in the right direction, I think that helps out a lot.
Yeah.
So it's good that you still had someone.
Yeah.
So you teach now. Why did you want to get into the teaching profession?
So I didn't always want to become a teacher. Ever since I was younger, I wanted to be a policeman, that or a dragon. But you can't be a dragon. So I wanted to go into police. Flopped that. That went horrendous. I found it really difficult, and I was quite young at the time, so I didn't really have the morals and ideals that were required for that. Then I wanted to go into social work, and then so to go into social work, you need experience working with children.
Right.
So I started working in a nursery as an apprentice. I really enjoyed that, and then I thought, do I want to do social work? Yeah, I still want to do it. I thought, do you know what? I want to get experience working with older children. So I came to the school.
Yeah.
And since then, we've worked with children and all the students with challenging backgrounds. And I thought, do you know what? I don't want to do social work anymore, because some of that has broken me, hearing about some of their stories. And I thought, I couldn't do social work. But now I like just teaching. I want to rise in the ranks, or even just help these students and these young people on a daily basis, the ones with challenging needs and such, because that's sort of what my role model did for me when I was younger. He helped me.
Yeah, no, totally agree. So, as we said, we work together
Yeah.
in a special needs school for children with challenging behaviours. I got into that because my youth club manager put a lot of effort into us as young people, set up schemes that we could volunteer.
Yeah.
We got set out to Czech Republic to work with young people with cancer when we were 16, all funded. And it gave us a lot of ownership, and it never felt like a job. It just felt like something I really enjoyed doing. And to this day, touch wood, it still doesn't really feel like work. We have our challenging days,
Yeah.
we all do, but just the reward we get back from the type of job we do and seeing how we can help develop the young people in the future, for me personally, is the achievement. I don't know if you feel the same.
Oh no, I definitely do. That's what I love seeing the most. It's not even obviously I'm an apprentice, so I get no money at all. I'm about 500. I'm £5 an hour, which is as you know,
But you've got £5 an hour. I need to go and speak to her.
£5 an hour. Honestly, it was £4.30 before. It's
Oh,
gone
wow.
up 70p. So I'm rising in the ranks.
Yeah, you're getting there.
You're getting there. Hopefully £5.50 soon.
Yeah.
But it's just I don't do it for the money at all. I enjoy working just with young people in general. I just get so much enjoyment out of seeing their progress and just helping them.
What was nursery children like? Because I can't picture. Obviously, I've had children myself, and that was tough, and that was only 2. That's one area of working with young people I've never gone into or dreamt of going into. I think it would be hell for me. What was that like?
So when I first went there, I first trialled at another nursery, and I'm not gonna name it at all, but it's around my area. I went there, and I loved it, and I was at my interview, and then I mentioned that my dad was in prison.
Oh,
So, but that has nothing to do, especially with DBS. It has nothing to do with me at all. It doesn't affect my character. So they showed me the door straight away.
Yeah.
And they said we don't. They basically said, "Oh, we'll hear back. You'll hear back from us," but never did. So I told the agency provider that works, and they got kicked off the register because what they did was disgusting. Then I found another nursery, and I started off with toddlers. Now toddlers, I don't know. I think most people agree with me. They're just basically little crackheads. They're mental toddlers. Honestly, you have about 20 in a room, and 20 of them. You got to do nappy changes all the time. It's hectic. They're just shouting at you. They're screaming at you. I had one girl who was stuck in a little washing machine thing. We was like, "Where's blah blah blah?" We're looking around, couldn't find her, and then she goes, "Oh, I stuck." We look over. She's stuck in the washing machine. Get her out. Turn around. She goes back in it. That sums up toddlers.
That feels like hell to me.
Then I went preschool, loved that, and babies is bliss because they're all asleep all day. It's just lost. It's good.
Being a young man and working with children, I don't know, because obviously I started my career 20 years ago. I used to get a lot of slack down the pub and stuff, being a male in the children environment. Did you ever find anything like that? Because I'm a previous guest who I've had a lot of worked with, he never got that off of people. Did you ever get anything like that? Or
So, not within the school?
No, I mean outside mates and stuff.
Yeah. Well, I'll talk about. I did get a lot of slack in nursery from colleagues because I was the only male person in nursery, and having a male, it was just natural. They just immediately had some sort of assumption that I was a predator when I first joined. But I was doing nappy change. I wasn't allowed to be left alone anywhere. Even though I had my DBS back, and there was a lot of even the parents were very cautious around me. My mates. When I worked in nursery, you get all those those in between a banter jokes. I work with young kids, but now that I've worked in the education sector for I don't even know 3-4 years, my mates are completely different, and everyone that I know is very accepting of it. Fortunately, but when I first started, it wasn't like that.
Yeah, no, as I said, I was exactly the same because I was 18, right, and then the mates I grew up with were sort of builders and stuff like that. So it was bantery, but you could tell there was half a hint to it. So, how did you break down the barrier with the parents in the nursery? Because obviously, as you said, they were a big thing at first. It was just to getting to know you and actually then realising you was there for a good reason, or
I think it was when they first started speaking to me because I'm, as you know very well, I'm quite lazy. I don't shave, so I sort of look Like, you've seen it when I've had really long.
Yeah.
I look homeless when I've got long hair as well. So I look like that working around with kids. But then you have your own key children, so you report to the parents based on how their progress was, and you set up little parents' evenings, and they sort of just get to know you. So you form a really good relationship with them. You form a trusting relationship, and it just stems from that. So it's just over time.
Yeah. So you said you wanted to be a social worker. You're probably thinking now that's not the. So is teaching the route you want to follow now, career-wise?
Yeah, I think so. I just get so much enjoyment out of it, and it's just it's so rewarding. And there's just so much work to be done with it. And I think just being that male role model is what inspires me. I don't think I'm a good role model at all, but I enjoy the prospect of being able to inspire young people.
No, exactly. Very, very true. So obviously we're here to talk about mental health.
Yeah.
And as everyone's aware, mental health is like physical health. So you have good days and bad days. You've had some bad days. Are you okay to sort of talk about what's happened?
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you've had bad mental health days, what's happened?
So I've always been somewhat aware that there's something wrong with me. So it's kind of, in terms of really bad days, it genuinely feels like I was drowning. Head goes fuzzy. I don't know what I'm going to do. It's very predictable. I get very irritable. Can't stop. I mean, you've seen the scars on my arms from when I used to self-harm.
When did you first realise something wasn't right? Was there something that had happened, or
Um, I think before I went to university, I think that's when I sort of like, there's something wrong with me. I want to kind of figure out why. So I studied criminology and criminal psychology to try and find out.
But how did you know something was wrong with you? Like, was you getting feelings? Was you getting thoughts?
Just, I think it was just that I was different from people. Um, I was, I couldn't put myself out there. I was quite isolated. Even if I had offers to do something, there was just a tiny voice in my head that sort of
So don't do it.
stuff like that. Yeah, and I'd always excessively worry about things. But this completely changed during lockdown, where it reached the pinnacle of it. Um, so.
And with lockdown, do you think that because you was told you had to isolate, there was no choice that changed, or was it the fact that sort of daily life routine changed so drastically, so quickly that it threw you?
Well, I think it was. I think it was the lack of routine which really heightened
Your anxiety,
my anxiety, my depression, everything. And then that's when it started to get really physical. I had a good support network, but I think also getting in touch with people that I haven't talked to for ages, like my cousins, I think that also heightened a lot of it as well. Being introduced into a giant social bubble with no routine and the inability to see them.
yeah.
I think that really, made it worse.
Okay, if you don't mind talking about self-harming itself, because obviously we hear about people self-harming and reasons why, but for you mentally, what did it do to actually? Because I can't imagine being able to pick something up to cause myself harm, because it would feel like it would make things worse. Was it like a release, or was it because you had control of something?
So I think it was a mixture of things. One of the ones that sort of I enjoyed about it. And it sounds weird to say that I enjoy about it, doesn't it? But it was just seeing like the blood come out.
Yeah.
And it was also a thing of getting control. And it got really bad. Where, do you know when you've not had a cigarette for a while and you get that feeling in your chest or whatnot? I'd start getting that when I hadn't self-harmed in a while.
It's become like an addiction.
It did. It became like an addiction. And unfortunately, I'm nothing like that now. But it was to the point where I was doing it daily. I remember once during lockdown, I was so bad that I just walked outside and I slipped all my arms up, and I was just walking past people with blood streamed down my arms. I was going to walk to a train station and jump off.
Oh wow!
So it actually got to that point because I was quite suicidal as well during lockdown. I've been quite I've been not suicide. Like, I've never wanted to kill myself, but at that point in time I did.
Yeah.
But I've always had, even like today, I've still got the feeling of like I just wish I hadn't existed. It's a lot better now because I'm doing something I'm passionate about and I've got a reason, a meaning. But it was like that for quite a long time.
Kind of not understanding. Did you ever feel embarrassed though? Is that why self-harm sort of do it in private because there's an embarrassment, or is it you don't want to put your anxieties and your feelings onto someone else, so you try to protect people, or is it an embarrassment?
It's more of hiding it so you don't cause other people grief. That's how it was for me. Everyone's got it different. But even today, I'll still wear long sleeves because I'm not embarrassed about it. I don't really know. I wear long sleeves for multiple reasons, but one of them is because of my scars.
Yeah.
I just don't want to project what I'm feeling onto other people because it makes them worry, and even then, it's my own issue. I've always been someone to be like, I've got to deal with it. So I never really like getting people involved and all that.
But I think that's the main issue. It's a responsibility for everyone, really. I think because obviously someone going through their struggles and their issues don't want to impose that on people, but then I think people around need to make it their business to try and help that person. Because I know when you've seen me not in a great place, you always check up on me, and I always say, "Don't worry about it. I can sort it." And you're like, "No, tell me. I'm here to help you." So I think we've all got to take a responsibility on checking in on each other, because when you're feeling low, like you said, you don't want to project that onto other people, but in a way, you need someone to be able to talk it through with as well.
Yeah.
So I think it's a big responsibility for all of us. Do you feel being a man doesn't help with wanting to talk about? Because like you're very open with people asking you, but you won't come and disclose that unless you're asked, if you know what I mean.
Like, that's just the way that men are socialised in general. Ever since you're younger, you're brought up action men. You've got to be tough. You've always got a saying of no balls, which is it's just all of that masculinity.
Man up.
Exactly.
What is a man? It's a man up, but what is a man?
Exactly. Like from our generation, and even, today, I think it is improving.
Yeah.
With like gender roles and such, where men, like the whole masculinity is a bit more fluid. But back when we were younger, masculinity was just something like it's the way we're socialised. So the way that we're brought up, we're just told boys don't cry, keep it in, blah blah. I mean, the suicidal rates of men are significantly higher than women, especially in prisons. They're like 150 times higher.
Yeah.
And it's just.
Did you reach out when you got to your low point? Did you go and get support, or?
So my support network consisted of my cousins at first, which then I personally think made it worse. I love my cousins to bits. I hadn't seen them in years, but I reached out to them. They've gone through similar things. They helped quite a lot, and then it got to the point where I'm just dragging them into it, and it makes me feel really bad. So I reached out to Mind. Mind are really helpful. I've gone to the Crisis Cafe more times than I can count. I went probably about 5-6 months ago, and they're just so helpful to connect you back to reality, and they provide you that safe space. There's a Mind Cafe in Bexley Heath. It's lovely there, and then they can refer you to help if you need it, or for short-term help, Mind will deal with it. But if it's long-term help, they'll send you to Oxley's. So I've been to Oxley's as well. Now Oxley's was lovely as well. Did scare me a bit because it's a proper institution.
Yeah. But do you think that's because of the stigma around mental health?
Yeah.
So obviously, as we said, it's getting better. People becoming more accepted. But for our generation, if you went to an institution or see someone that you're not.
Yeah.
So what you said there, did that make you feel?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm nuts. So this is why I'm going here. Like.
It did definitely make me feel like that. The pre-existing stigma attached to it did make me feel very uncomfortable. Even going into there, it wasn't like Mind where it was quite homely. It was a proper place where you can get help. But it is really good there. So if anyone does need help, I do advise to get in contact with Mind or Oxley's, because at the end of the day, I don't think I'd be here now if I didn't receive that external help. I've been put on medication, which is helping me. I'm on antidepressants, 40 mils. And I thought recently I've done a lot better, but this weekend I've been quite anxious. For I can't come off them just yet.
Yeah.
But without them, I wouldn't be the same person. I don't think.
No, because that's basically what mental health is a chemical imbalance in the brain. So again, the stigma attached with antidepressants. But if you need to get your chemical balance right, I don't see the issue.
Yeah.
Like, so to be honest, I've always been one for counselling is rubbish. And then obviously went through what I went through with my wife. She had a stroke. That will be coming up in a future episode. And got to a point where I never got suicidal, but I didn't want to be in this environment anymore. So I got to the point where I was just thinking to myself, well, I can just open the front door, go walking, and just keep walking and walking and walking and walking. And then I realised I did reach out to mine, but unfortunately their service is so subscribed. I had the initial assessment. They said I was a high functioning anxiety and depressive. We'll get someone to call you back. Still haven't heard from them, unfortunately. And I understand, and that's why whenever these mind fundraisers or anything come up, we really need to support because their service is so good.
Yeah.
They're just very oversubscribed and they can't help everyone. But luckily, there's a group in Bexley called Bexley Carers, and because my wife's class is disabled, I was able to get onto their system, and I've been speaking to a bloke for the last 18 weeks via telephone, which I find really helpful for me because I hate seeing people's expressions because I'm kind of like you, don't want to put pressure on people. So if I can see someone's feeling uncomfortable or they're looking sorry for me, I tend to shut up and stop talking about it because I don't want to put it onto them. So the fact that I don't see his face, I can't see his reaction. Sorry if you are listening to this, because I won't know if you are. I forget your name every week. He always introduces himself, and as soon as by the end of the session, it's gone. So, but I like that. I don't even know his name.
Yeah.
So I could pass him 100 times on the street, and I would never know. And that has helped so much. It's opened my eyes a lot. But even if people go through counselling, I would say stick at it because even the first 4 or 5 weeks, I still thought this is a load of baloney. But now, our sessions are coming to an end because I've only got a set amount. And I'm now getting anxious about not having that phone call. So I've said to him, can you at least check on me once a month? It doesn't need to be every week now, but at least can you try and check in on me once a month? Because just having that outside. So I think, again, there's lots of stigma attached with mental health and counselling and therapies and stuff like that. But I think the main message is just go and give it a go, really.
Yeah, definitely.
And realise there is different avenues. Some might not work for you, but others would, and it's just finding that. Are you glad you reached out to Mind, or?
I am, yeah. Especially the Crisis Cafe, I'm grateful for because they've pulled me out of bad situations and sent me back to reality. With mental health, it's nothing to be ashamed of at all.
Exactly.
Everyone is somewhere on that. If we're going to define it as a spectrum, everyone has some level of mental health difficulties.
But like I said earlier, it's like you have body health.
Yeah.
When you're fit and stuff, it's good. If you're feeling ill, it's bad.
Yeah.
And that's the same with your mental state. You have good days, but you're feeling great, you have bad days. So they shouldn't be ashamed.
There's so many avenues for you to go down and so many options for you to choose if you need help that it's just, if you need help, just seek it. There's just so many different options.
Right, so last question. This is a question I ask everyone.
Oh, God.
Whatever you answer will not change any course of your life journey so far. But if you had 30 seconds with your younger self, what would you say?
Oh, that's put me right on the spot. But it wouldn't change anything.
It wouldn't change nothing. So there'll be no difference to the outcomes. So your life will stay exactly the same as you've lived it now. But you had 30 seconds with your younger self.
Do you know what, mate? I've not. Do you know what? I don't even know. I would probably.
You say buckle up and enjoy the ride, or?
Do you know what? No, I'd probably just be really sarcastic to him As you know, I probably just turned to stop eating so much food, so much chunk food, because I was really chubby when I was younger. When I was like 15, I mean, I'm getting there now, anyway, 13 stone now, but I was 15 stone when I was like 13. I turned to stop eating.
Yeah.
How old are we talking here?
Whenever you want, teenagers would be there.
Yeah, no, they'll be like,
Stop eating.
go gym.
Go gym, stop eating.
Yeah.
Okay, well, lovely. Thank you so much for coming on and being so open
That's right.
about mental health. Honestly, it's been really brave of you, and I really appreciate you using this platform to share them experiences. So, from the bottom of my heart, thank you very much, and hopefully we'll get able to catch up again soon.
Yeah. Cheers,
Thanks
mate.
for joining us. See you soon, everyone.